guys, so this is a video about how I knit, which is the Irish cottage knitting style or lever knitting. I've even heard some people call it pit knitting. Basically, you know, I kind of learned on my own and with some help, and so I'm not quite sure what style this fits into. I've seen a lot of different ways it's done, but this is how I do it. I've had a lot of people ask me, so I figured I'd just do a video and show you how I do it. But basically, first of all, you take your needles. You need longer needles than normal, by the way. 14-inch long needles seem to work. And you take the end of the needle and you basically just tuck it up into your armpit. And you bring your arm down next to it and you just are holding the needle stationary in your armpit. You know, it doesn't have to be super tight, but enough that it holds it stable. So it's a stationary needle. The only needle that moves in this style is this one. And the angle that you need it at is about like this. So this needle is straight up and down, and this one is held stationary in your armpit, okay? And the movement that you're going to do goes back, I can help it by loosening up my stitches, back and forth like this, okay? I'll show you here in a minute. So anyway, you've got your needle tucked in your arm, and this is how I wrap the yarn for my tension. I go between these two fingers, so the yarn is going to trail off my hand like this. Between these two fingers, around my middle finger, and behind my ring finger. And so what you're doing to get the tension is you're kind of pushing against the needle a little bit. Not really pushing, I mean, you could really let it go too, but you can rest the palm of your hand on the needle here if you want, and you're kind of tensioning this way. You could almost, if you tuck this finger in tight, you can make it tighter, and you can almost kind of get, you know, a hold on the needle this way. And so that's how you tension your yarn, both for knitting and for purling. And this technique is really awesome for ribbing. I used to hate ribbing because it took forever, but when you want to knit, you just bring the yarn behind, and when you want to purl, you bring it forward. And it's a really fast, fluid movement for going back and forth between the two. I'll show you here in a minute. But we're going to start off doing a knit stitch. So basically, let me just not make that so tight. So again, between these fingers, around this one, and then you tension like this. You go into your stitch here, wrap your yarn, come up and back down. So that's a knit stitch right there, around. And so when you're kind of wrapping this around, you're just kind of going around this way, just like that. It's a real fluid movement. I learned how to do this because I was having a lot of wrist pain from crocheting and knitting, and elbow pain and just all kinds of stuff. So I was looking for something that'd be super fast, which this is, and wouldn't cause me so much pain, which it does not. So I love it. So again, a knit stitch goes like this and around and back down. And when you get going, you can really get going really fast. I mean, you can get into a rhythm. I'm not as fast as some people for sure, but it's much faster than my old style used to be. And you just kind of come around this way. And so kind of when you're wrapping, if you get going really quick, you're kind of advancing the stitches with these two fingers here kind of as you go along. You're kind of just working to push them up as you go. So again, the knit stitch behind and around and off. And kind of while you're doing that movement, you're kind of advancing the next stitch. Like this. I'm going to slow it down so I can show you guys here. Okay. Purling is kind of the same movement. You're just bringing the yarn around to the front, and you go into the front of the stitch this way and around and back off. So into the front of the stitch, your yarn's in the front of the needle now. Here, around, and back down. And so obviously for ribbing, it's awesome because, you know, you're over here this way for knit, right? So your yarn is behind you, you're tensioned here. You do your knit stitch, bring your yarn around to the front, and do your purl stitch. So much faster. Oh my gosh, so much faster. I actually don't avoid ribbing anymore because of this. Just if I could get it in there. There you go. And you can just really get going. You just kind of pull these back and keep advancing your stitches, and that's really about it. You know, the pressure, the way you're holding it is kind of, you know, again, you're tucked under your arm. You've kind of got the palm of your hand on the needle here, and you're wrapped and you're kind of feeling the tension here. So this finger kind of guides the yarn around for both stitches. And you know, your movement is just like this. And when you get better at it, you know, you can keep these movements really small and really fast. Keeping your yarn advanced is helpful. So like this. And you can really just kind of get into a rhythm with it. The key is just long needles and you just kind of get in the groove. So anyway, I hope that helps for everybody who wanted to learn how I knit. A lot of people knit, and it's just a good, fast way to do it. Hopefully pain-free for you as well. So anyway, hope that helps you guys. Thanks.